Batman Forever's Riddler, Jim Carrey, is concerned Paul Dano's interpretation could inspire copycats. I'm automatically already getting flashbacks to like the 90s and like video games will inspire violence. And
I'm getting a flashback to 2019.
Yes, I've got that like before.
Good times.
Yes, we got that pulled up.
See, whenever they say like concerned could inspire copycats, I'm like, what? Like this is a serial killer? Like we don't
like it's a real person. Yeah, like that's my favorite part because
it would be dangerous for the community if we had a copycat of this
of somebody that didn't actually do anything. So it says Paul Dano's creepy Riddler is part of the latest reboot of the Caped Crusader and the Batman, which as one of the most successful releases of 2022 and of the emerging post-pandemic era, reached and unsettled a lot of people with its murder mystery catch a killer type style storyline, and its Riddler is a darker portrayal, leaving some divided over the liberties taken by Matt Reeves with the source material to go more reality based. The creative direction opens a pronounced can of worms, this is a can of worms that's been opened like 10 million times. So that's annoying. Like it's opening a can of worms again that's already been opened a million times when they ask, does movie violence inspire real life violence? So it says does the Batman glorify a psycho with an online following who exacts deadly revenge against a corrupt system? The question troubling certain individuals is not being hard to fathom. A former Riddler and very outspoken actor naturally has something to say about the implications of the twisted spin, even though he concedes he hasn't seen the movie yet. That's I'm sure he doesn't need to see it to understand why, where his opinion comes from, though it is kind of funny that he's like, yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm worried about it. That could be bad. He says, Jim Carrey, who famously
I just hope he's like, it keeps me up at night. Like,
yeah.
I just lie in bed worrying about this issue all the time.
Yeah. So he says, Jim Carrey, who famously portrayed a more Gorshin-inspired Edward Nygma in Batman Forever that's arguably truer to form than Dano's wannabe Zodiac killer, had some critiques about the Batman in a recent interview, and he came short of disparaging the movie. So basically, he gives the point where he's like, I think it's bad. It says, I've not seen it. It's a very dark version. I have mixed emotions about it. To each his own and all that, Carrey said while discussing Sonic 2 with Unilad in the UK. He's added that he fears that there's a chance that Dano's Riddler's methods might inspire some wacko as good as Dano's acting is. I don't think anybody's like, I wasn't going to go out and commit these really violent acts of homicide, but, that was such a stirring portrayal that actor gave me. Maybe I will go do that now. I don't think that's actually a thing. Does that seem like a thing?
No, Brett, you don't understand. He's empowering incel terrorists.
Yes, that's what they're saying, because he is the Riddler is an incel. They're the funniest was if you guys have not seen the movie, did you see it?
I did not.
Okay. There's a scene where he's in like a 4chan type forum that they find. And there's
it's 5chan.
And he's got he's got like 500 followers. I was like, that's a pretty good hit and miss ratio of like finding people to like commit violent acts for you. Like if you got a Patreon, you got to have like 10,000 followers just to get like 10 people to pay for your stuff. So for this guy to have 500 followers and get like 15 people to commit like violent homicide for him, that's a fantastic ratio.
We should study his rhetoric strategy.
Yes.
How he's winning these people over.
My favorite was there was one that the guy's username was like hold the line 89. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that, but it says considerations like that the actor indicated further compel him to be careful when he choosing roles, erring on the side of caution. Carrey, having done his share of odd thrillers with Batman Forever director Joel Schumacher, I don't know if anybody has seen The Cable Guy. Cable Guy is a fantastic movie. Prefers the G-rated cartoon violence of Robotnik these days. Yes, he's now playing a very cartoonish villain that wants to take over the world. That's what we need back. We don't want people to... I'm sick of villains like wanting to burn down a corrupt system. I want villains that want to take over the world. Remember when that was a thing? You just wanted to take over the world.
Was what Thanos?
What do they want to do now?
Well, now,
burn it all down.
Yes, burn it all down. Or it's never the cartoonishly villainous side anymore. Now it's always like real world this and real world that. I want cartoonish villains. So it says, I do have a conscience about the things I choose. He continued. Robotnik in Sonic 2 has cartoon bombs and no one gets hurt.
But what if his cartoon bombs inspire a real bomber?
Yeah. What if somebody's like, I want to make cartoonish looking bombs that actually hurt people? That could actually happen. I know there's a place for it. I don't want to criticize it, but it's not my kind of thing. It's very well done. Those movies are very well done. So it says he's like erring on the side of like, family type movies these days. That's fine. That's kind of more his territory anyways. But it's just, this argument will never go away that movies and television and video games will inspire violence, and it's becoming tiresome. And as we know, the media wants the violence to be inspired because the media wants the headlines. So this is, Mary was right. It says the Batman's Riddler is an incel, and that should be a grim message to us all. This is an older article from like earlier in the month. It says the Batman is a surprisingly grounded film, but they basically talk about how this character is very much like not supposed to be like he's very disturbed because he is involuntarily celibate, which will of course means that you're going to be violent and psychopathic.
Was that explicit in the movie?
No, it was not. Like his character, there was
how do we know?
There was a great.
We asked the girl out, and then she says no.
And she says no, and he's like, you know what? Burn the system down. But there's a great meme that somebody posted where it says like, man, the Riddler was scary as hell when he had that costume on, because you see Paul Dano. He says, and then boom, he takes his mask off, and boom, it's just Mitch McConnell.
That's even scarier.
Yeah, it's just young Mitch McConnell. So I found this old article. I don't have it pulled up on those, but it says this is Joker movie prompts mass hysteria in media, police departments. So that one might not be on there. It says the upcoming release of Todd Phillips' Joker. When this came out, if you remember, there was like all the theaters that I went, like when I went to see it, they had plainclothes officers.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they had plainclothes police officers at the theater because they were worried about people supposedly committing incel acts of violence.
Maybe that was just the first showings, because I remember the showing I went to was just empty, except for myself. So I didn't see anybody there.
Did you go see it like early, or did you go see it like on a Friday?
It was pretty early.
Yeah.
But it was a weekday.
Yeah, so less people, but
yeah.
Oh no, it was just for the Friday night showings, like for that initial Friday night opening.
Like when there's gonna be a crowd.
Yeah. So
because like even if an incel's gonna blow up an empty theater, like we'll just let him have that one. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, with all the property damage is bad, but without bodies we're fine. Yeah. So it says posts on social media have made reference to involuntarily celibate extremists replicating the 2012 shooting in Aurora, Colorado at screenings of the Joker movie nationwide. So that's what they want. The media absolutely wants this, and they keep perpetuating this narrative. Like that article got written because Jim Carrey's somehow worried that somebody liked a character that was violent. Like, is this an argument we're going to have forever about movies?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will probably go on for an extremely long time, but my pet theory is that basically there is a cultural gap between people who understand violence or who actually come into contact with violence and people who then say, if you see a violent video game or a violent movie, you are going to become violent. Like those people don't actually have any firsthand experience.
Yeah.
Or they don't and generalizing here, of course, but like I think it's similar to people who want to ban guns, who have never owned a gun or who don't know anyone who owns a gun. Like it's something they're trying to keep out of their world that they have intentionally abstained from already.
The more you're removed from it, the more you mythologize it.
The more fearful it is, right? Because you don't even know where it comes from. You have no idea what causes it. So maybe it's violence in movies. Like now.
And you're also more afraid of like what's violent inside of yourself. So it's just projection.
Yeah. That's interesting.
There was people in the like family members of the victims from the old Aurora shooting that somehow because the theater chain that carried that held The Dark Knight Rises when that happened did not carry the Joker. And like some of the family members were like, thank you, and other ones were like, I think that's an over exaggerated, because it's just it's a tragedy, it's a tragic event, but it's not indicative of culture as a whole. It's an isolated incident that's awful, but it does not mean that.
And you're just digging it up again for them to remember all over. Yeah, and another thing that struck me about this was they didn't react the same way to Suicide Squad, even though there was another iteration of the Joker in that.
He's cartoonish. Did you see how green his hair was? It must have been okay.
But he was still supposed to be unhinged and like
Yep.
edgy or whatever.
And arguably, like the original cut that never made it of that movie, which was much, much darker. Like, if you ever watched the initial trailer for that movie, the Comic-Con trailer that came out in 2016, was a much, much more violent and dark take on that film that was eventually lightened up because Batman vs. Superman didn't do that well. So then the studio tinkered and ruined the movie by letting a trailer company edit the movie, which is why that movie's so awful.
He also got cut down to like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
And
less.
he had much more footage in the original cut of that movie, but his storyline got all but removed. And let's face it, Jared Leto is extremely hit or miss, and when he misses, he really misses, and that's indicative
His
of
cult
him.
would say otherwise.
His very his
He's not cult.
his not cult. His I don't know what
They're
it
gonna
is.
come for us.
They-
Stop.
They could. Well, we covered BTS, so if they don't come for us, nobody will.
That's true.
We jumped like several hundred followers, and that video did like way better.
It did, yeah.
like way.
Where they were
Suddenly-
mad. They were real mad. They was
Good.
like, this is old news, guys.
Yep.
Like, we all knew this already.
Yeah. Yep.
To bring in a BTS specialist.
Yes, that's what they wanted. It's like I thought it was interesting. It's like, and it was only really news yesterday because we were covering the fact that there was
A BTS lockdown.
yes, and that there was the presidential the changing of power
Yeah.
as for the president of South Korea. But so for this, I just think that this is going to. I don't see a time where this doesn't happen. But it is weird how it's selectively enforced. Like you said, they didn't do it for that version of the Suicide Squad. Other movies don't necessarily get this, and there's violent movies that are released all the time.
I didn't see Suicide Squad, but it sort of, I remember from the photos and stuff, it sort of made it look like Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's character, was sort of at like the lead of that group. I remember she was always in the middle and stuff like that. Do you think it has anything to do with it being a male main character versus sort of a female-led group?
No, because in that one, Will Smith got top billing. I think
okay.
I think Will Smith got top billing, but he has a mask on for most of the movie. But she is kind of like a unique example of someone who nobody liked Birds of Prey.
Yeah, her with Jared Leto's Joker was really the appeal, and then he was cut out
Yeah.
most of the way through.
Because her character is really like, as much as they try, she's not really like a character to be done on her own.
She was more of an accessory
Yeah.
to his character.
Like that character was debuted in the animated series,
Yeah.
and she doesn't exist very well outside of her ties to that character.
Do you think the lack of or the disparity in police presence and concerns of violence have to do with the fact that that's a depiction of a group who does things versus in We Are Afraid of Incel culture, we're afraid of singular men acting alone.
the fear of like the lone gunman who wants to come out and do something? Like I said,
Not a clique of sort of anti-heroes.
Like
or
I said,
bad guys. I don't really know what they are.
finding yourself 15 people willing to commit violence for you on like a 508 person follower list is a hell of a hit count there, my friend. He must have been very, very persuasive. But I just thought that this was one of those things where I can't and Jim Carrey's he's also what, in his 50s or his 60s. He's getting old.
He's out of touch. Also, he's just off his rocker.
Yeah,
I think.
he's real weird. I'm not a huge fan.
You don't like why?
I have liked some of his work, but he espouses a lot of philosophy right now that's sort of armchair ideology to me that I'm not super into.
Like what?
I need to go back and listen to those interviews he had where he just sounded absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You remember he did a whole phase where he was like, I'm not in acting, I'm discovering myself through painting, and
oh, I remember. Oh yeah, and that those paintings went for crazy money
went
too.
for crazy money,
Yeah,
and
it sucked. By the way,
I think it's a form of
It's art. You don't need to understand it.
I think it's a form of narcissism in a long way, in a strong way, which maybe doesn't even have to do with the fact that he's an actor. It just has to do with generation that's become culturally normative. There was a movie done about him where he was like, I'm such a method actor, I'm going to stay in character while performing another role.
he was playing Andy Kaufman.
He was playing Andy
Thank
Kaufman's Man
He
on
was
the Moon,
obsessed with that.
Man on the
That's
Moon.
with it, would never stop, to the point where his other coworkers were like, this is, or his co-stars were like, this is
Jerry Lawler
you're
was the
very
wrestler in the
difficult
movie
outside.
with him, and there's that famous fight that they had.
I think in some ways he's always just been a semi provocative guy, in its
Yeah.
sort of attention seeking. Now he's like, oh yeah, well, I don't like violence. Like, instead of going for being this disruptive, irritating personality, he's now trying to be like this sort of patron saint of the right thing to do.
I will say it's not like he said like it's bad. He just said I would choose not to do it. It's not like he's passing judgment on them for making it. He's just saying that he wouldn't have made that choice. But still, it comes up. And the fact that it keeps coming up and like they can't tie it to any specific crime, but
And, like,
they'll
would
certainly
he-
keep trying.
Would he not do that now because he couldn't pull it off because he's not perceived as that kind of actor anymore? He's lost his edge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, he's got to make Ace Ventura 3 before he goes.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, knowing how much Hannah Claire loves reboots and remakes, I think she wants. she means she's lying. She
No
loves,
one likes them. It's okay.
She's lying. She loves reboots and remakes.
Oh, I can't believe how many things are reboots and remakes these days.
That's all
Every
they
time I
are.
would come on this show, and again, I'm always grateful to be here, but I'd be like, so they're remaking this movie, so they're remaking this TV
Well,
show,
I
so
mean,
they're
now I
remaking-
just do it to annoy you.
Yeah, but like, I think even if you weren't trying to annoy me, that's still something you would have to talk about all the time.
Yeah,
because
no,
it's
it is.
happening all the time.
It's like I wasn't actually. I'm being hyperbolic when I say I was doing it to annoy her. Like there's a lot of it is like when there's established lore, it's more relevant to talk about. Like we covered the release of an upcoming show called Tokyo Vice, which is based on a book, and the other one was We Own the City or We Run the City. I think it's We Own the City, which is based on another book. One is about a reporter who ran the crime beat in Tokyo, like an American reporter working in Tokyo. And then the other one was about a corrupt like police unit in Baltimore.
Yeah, they're both based off of real things.
But they're new, but less people are interested in it because the reboots and the remakes have the established work prior, to draw people in. When I was like really like Tokyo Vice comes out like in like 2 days and I'm like geeking to go watch it, but it's like I understand like most people, if they don't pay close attention to stuff, aren't going to know that that's out until they see it on their HBO Max queue.
Yeah, it reminds me of the same part of like psychology that tells you like you want to eat at a chain restaurant even when you're in a new city
Because you know
or
what it's going to be like.
because you know it's gonna be like maybe you like that food and it's consistent, you can rely on it. Like watching a reboot of something you already basically know is maybe not as intellectually engaging, or like you're watching it for comfort or for familiarity versus like wanting to be introduced to new concepts or new production.
I'm a big comfort watcher. Like in a lot, like I watch. I have a harder time watching like new things because I feel like I have to pay very close attention. Whereas stuff that I've watched before, I can put on the background while I'm working and be fine. So I do that a lot with shows. Like I don't usually engage in new stuff unless it's like the weekend because I want to be able to give it my full attention.
Yeah.
Whereas during the week, if I'm up here working or getting something ready, I put something on in the background and it's not muted, but volume's really low and it's just kind of there. So
yeah, I get that.
it is what it is. So again, violence. We can't get away from it in the media. We'll never get away from it. Jim Carrey is also retiring, supposedly, after Sonic 2. I was going to put that up on screen, but we'll see. Like, I imagine maybe he's taking a note from his professional wrestling colleagues from that movie and going to come out of retirement to do something else. No?
Maybe.
Is it, and why don't you, what was it? Why was it you said you didn't like him just because you think he's weird?
Yeah, I just think he's insane and narcissistic, but so are all celebrities.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
it's part of like I don't know if it's like a requirement, but even the ones who come off as like not like that feels like they're doing it because they know that there are / not like most celebrities. Hannah Claire just made a very prompt face that was
The thing is, like, if you want to retire from acting, like, I feel like he has been on the cusp of trying to transition out of acting for a long time, but honestly, it's probably because he's not getting cast the way he used to, right?
Oh, I think his career's doing fine.
I mean,
Seems odd.
Maybe, but at one point he was a really big deal. I mean, he
Yes.
was in everything.
He's in
And
his
when you've
60s
had
now.
that kind of, sure. I mean, he should just retire because we don't want to see him anymore.
I agree. But
Hot take.
But that was like when he went through his painting phase that he was like,
I
I'm doing
completely
this for
forgot.
me. Now come over here and film it. Like,
I completely forgot about the painting phase until you guys brought it up.
yeah, like I thought he had already retired from acting. Like, I just don't take that kind of declaration seriously because it's like obviously from someone who wants to stay in the limelight. Don't you think?
That was a thing in skating. Like people who like would like on social media would be like, I'm quitting skating. It's just not fun anymore. And we're like, why would you like announce that to people? Why wouldn't you just not skate anymore rather than tell like you're making the proclamation like I am no longer going to be skating. And then everyone's like, yeah, sure. Like that's you just want attention right now.
it was hard to tell if with his painting phase and his weird ideological rants.
Yep.
If he was just retiring from being taken seriously anymore, or if he was actually trying to get people to engage with what he was saying.
Yeah,
Like,
I
was
don't
the
know.
whole thing just for publicity, or
I
what?
would err on the side of saying probably for publicity, but
Yeah,
we'll never know. We'll never know.
but I do want to see Sonic 2.
Yes, we're going to. We should all go see that. Hannah Claire, you'd like Sonic 2. It's very, very family friendly and fun.
Is that because you said I'm dressed like a third grader today?
I did not say that. I did not say that. What I said was she looks like she's on her way to a Mary Kate and
Yeah.
Ashley Olsen themed birthday party.
Like I'm taking my
Didn't
children?
specify how old they were at that birthday party.
Exactly.
Or if I was an attendee or just someone chaperoning the party. I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. So yeah.
I'd be totally happy to see Sonic. It's definitely not something I would like ever pick to see on my own, but I'm definitely one of those people that needs. I like when people are like, "Hey, we're gonna go see this movie." You
Yeah.
know, come with us anyways, because I tend to just like.
It's
You
a
say
social
you comfort
experience.
watch. I tend to be like, I can't make a decision, so I'm not going.
Like we saw that when you played Wordle.
Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
bad.
when you played Wordle, you're like I can't do it.
Knowing that I had 1 minute to figure out that word, like it's not that I wasn't like testing stuff. I just like don't like you only get 5 tries, so like I can like look at the boxes and see what words aren't gonna fit. I can eliminate a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not gonna justify myself.
All right.
You just stared at that screen.
I was like that's why I chose not to play. I opted out. So I'm worse. I'm a scaredy cat. I just chose not to play.
At least you admitted it live.
I
You should
did.
play this for Nick in the blog later.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. You'll love that. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.